Hey, I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 92, Rodriguez versus Caceres. But before I get into that, I'd like to plug my own author's website at www.chrismondong.com. I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre, and you can buy a couple of my works, starting with my first novel, an action adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom for $4.99 at www.chrismaldon.com on PDF format, or if you have an e-reader, you can buy it from amazon.com for $4.99. Also, you can buy some of my short stories and short story collections for $1.99, starting with the fantasy horror short story, The Land of the Wooden Statues, which I'm trying to make into a full novel. The horror collection, which is a collection of three of my gothic horror short stories, and my fantasy fable collection, which is a collection of four of my fantasy fable short stories. So on to this card. I gotta say, I coming in, I didn't think much of this card, and coming out of this card, you know, there are a lot of stinkers on this card. Um, the main event was fun. I never got the impression that one of these guys was going to finish. There were some good knockouts around the FS1 prelims. Um, some of the fights were grinders, though. Morose versus Taylor was absolutely terrible. but, you know, it was there were some good performances from prospects, which I like. Um, Otherwise, I didn't think it was that good of a card, to be perfectly honest with you. My picks, not too bad. I got 9 out of 12. The three I missed were Justin Ledette versus Chase Sherman, David Timur versus Jason Novelli, and Trevor Smith versus Joseph uh, Gelati. It's Gelati. It's not Gigliotti. It's Gelati, which I kept calling him Gigliotti for the longest time. As far as bonuses go, Tibera and Ishihara earned performance of the night, while Rodriguez versus Kisara got fight of the night. Judging was really bad on this card, I thought. Um, so it was a mixed bag of a card for sure. Like I said, FS1 had some cool knockouts. Um, some fights on the main card were actually pretty good. There's some good performances on the main card, but there's some pretty bad ones, some grinders too. Let's get started. Yair Rodriguez defeated Alex Caceres by split decision. First of all, split decision. I don't know how you. I can see giving Caceres rounds like 3 and 5, maybe. Um, but a 49-46 for Caceres, I can't see it. I can't. I can see giving Caceres 2 rounds, especially round. He got round 3 for sure. Um, and maybe one of the later rounds, maybe 5. But yeah, otherwise, I thought yeah, Rodriguez took this unanimously. Um, there's a lot to like and not like with Yair Rodriguez. He's real flashy, but he can connect a lot of that flashiness into solid combos that you wouldn't think were actually there. He'd spin a lot, but in like combination. So he's spinning, he's throwing like crescent kick, then a hook, or something like that. Um, he'd find like his accuracy though isn't very good. Um, but he's usually overwhelming his opponent. I thought Alex Caceres did well. I thought he did well in the areas I thought he'd do well in. For one, I felt that Yair would hit some punches on him, but like he kind of ran at him sometimes, and I kind of felt that Caceres overall in the boxing department did better than Yair. Got him some good shots when they were in boxing range. Wrestling, for the most part, went to Caceres. It's just Yair likes to scramble back to his feet, which is fine. He'll like his go-to is the leg lock, using the leg lock for the scramble. I think it'll work against some guys. I don't think it'll work against other guys who want to stay on top. You gotta like Yair's cardio. I thought he was kind of slowing down a bit. You can see that what he was doing in rounds 1 and 2. He wasn't doing it as much as 3, 4, and 5, but it was still really good stuff from Yair. Um, but yeah, like I said, there's a lot to like from Yair here. The stuff that I think would give you pause for him, one, and you can see this in his record, and despite getting the flashy KO against Andre Fili, um, he's not particularly heavy-handed. He's just not. I think for one thing, he's never set. He's never planted when he throws even kicks. So I mean, he was hitting like Caceres was like head kicks, and Caceres would just take him. You know. And the Yair is just not that heavy-handed. His boxing technique just isn't good. Like I say, he doesn't really plant a lot of times. So that's a bit of a cause for concern with Yair moving forward. He's still not a great boxer, and while he's a good scrambler, he can still get taken down. I would actually think that a pressure fighter who can box well and wrestle could probably do pretty well against Yair at this point. I am kind of thinking who that could be. Maybe like Ricardo Lamas maybe would be able to do something to Yair. Um, Connor, obviously pressure fighter with good boxing, could do something to Yair, but that's so far ahead anyways for Yair, so that doesn't really matter too much. Of course, Aldo, something like that, or Edgar, but Yair's not there at that level anyways, so like he's not quite top five anyways. So yeah, he'd probably lose to top five guys at this point, just because I think I, I can't help but feel there's a style to beat him at this point. There's a reason why Caceres took the third round. It's because like he was outboxing him, he's able to take him down. Yair goes for a leg lock. Caceres read it and still managed to get in guard and rain down ground and pound. And Yair couldn't do much once Caceres was heavy on his hips and raining down ground and pound. It's like, so, like I said, there's a lot to like with Yair, and there's a lot that gives me pause for concern. And just in the sense that, like, I can't help but feel that someone later on is going to get the better of Yair, but like at the same time, Yair is still improving too. I don't know if Jackson Winklejohn's the best camp for him, because while they're going to invite his flashiness, I don't know if they're gonna. It's a camp. It's not a camp that improves technique per se. It's always been something of a finishing school, and like, but it does. It's not a school or a camp that like makes you a better boxer, a cleaner, a more technical fighter per se. It just kind of takes what you have and maximizes it. And I can see how that works for Yair, but I can see how that's gonna eventually work against him. Like I said, Jackson Winklejohn's more of a finishing school. I'm pretty sure he's there. I thought I saw Jackson in actually as one of his coaches. Um, but I think there's some technique stuff that Yair's got to iron out that I just don't know if Jackson Winklejohn can supply that. With that said, it's a good win. Yair is a ranked featherweight. He's in the top 15. Other guys that are very close to him, Dooho Choi, would be an interesting matchup. I think that'd be Good prospect versus prospect fight. Darren Elkins, the ultimate test for the top 10. Um, Always a good fight. Darren Elkins could honestly be like just stylistic poison for Yair Rodriguez. Honestly, because Darren Elkins is a guy that's just going to rush in, try and get that clinch, get that takedown. And if he can get that takedown, he won't care about the leg locks from Yair Rodriguez. He's going to do everything in his power to stay on top and make life miserable for his opponent. If not that, the winner of Brian Ortega versus Joaquin Diaz. Both those guys, all these guys are actually very close in rank to Yair Rodriguez, and actually they're all good, interesting tests for him too. Doo Ho Choi, good boxer, if Choi can get in boxing range, he has fight-ending power. Darren Elkins, good wrestler. Yair Rodriguez, kind of a bit flashy, but leaves himself open to the takedown. Um, Ortega versus or Diaz, still, I think Brian Ortega is probably a better stylistic matchup from Yair, but Ortega can always get that sub. Joaquin Diaz, grinder, So, those are all good tests for Yair Rodriguez. Um, Different style matchups for him that I think will work for him pretty well. Caceres, he did well for himself. I thought he would. I honestly didn't think it'd be a blowout, and this is kind of why. As good as Caceres just lacks some of that technical stuff that could have made him do better against Yair. I think Caceres is the better boxer, but he's not a good boxer per se. Yeah, Caceres has offensive takedown ability, but he's not a good wrestler per se. But the few times he was able to box and wrestle Yair, there was points where Yair would be able to scramble, but Caceres was able to get on top of him. He was able to punch him at boxing range and whatnot. So with Caceres, just more mid to lower tier guys of the division for him. Next one after that, Dennis Bermudez defeated Hane Jason Bezerra by unanimous decision. Typical of Dennis Bermudez to have a couple scares in this fight. It always seems to happen. I think he got dropped, and it goes back to the thing with Dennis Bermudez. He gets dropped in like every fight or hit hard in every fight. He had his back taken at one point. I was like, oh, typical Dennis Bermudez here. And that's the problem with Bermudez. He'll in every one of his fights, win or lose, or like even if he's winning, he gets into like some bad position at least like one point of his fight, and that happened here. But for the most part, I thought he outstruck Jason, got some good leg kicks on him, easily able to out wrestle him, ground and pounded him, defended the subs. It was more or less a blowout for Bermudez. It was pretty much the fight I expected him to have. And pretty much the fight I expected Honey Jason to have against a guy like Bermudez, where he kind of wings and punches, might connect here and there, but can't defend his takedowns. And he got bloodied up too. Bermudez called out Frank Yeager for Madison Square Garden for New York. I actually think that's not a bad fight. Frank Yeager is coming off that loss. However, the biggest problem with that is that his coach actually said that he's a natural 135er. And considering that Frank Yeager just lost to Jose Aldo, it's going to be a tough road to climb back to the title at featherweight. I can see Frank Yeager at this point of his career making one last title run for bantamweight. There's some good matches for him at bantamweight anyways. If not, Bermudez can get the winner of Anthony Pettis versus Charles Oliveira, or like Cub Swanson. With Honey Jason, you know what? He's just like a mid-level guy at this point. He's gonna win some against mid-level guys. Might even lose some against mid-level guys too. Just get more mid to lower tier guys of the division. So I have that Talis Lates defeated Chris Camozzi by rear naked choke in the third round. This type of fighter has classically been Camozzi's weakness, and it's just these BJJ guys. It just really strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys that can grind a bit, work clinch takedowns. It's not even like double leg takedown guys. It's like clinch takedown type guys. Rafael Natal, was it Bruno Santos? It's just these like strong, not necessarily strong wrestlers, but it's just guys with like strong grappling ability that can stay on top position. Top control grapplers pretty much. Classic weakness of Chris Camozzi, and quite honestly, Camozzi just looked helpless. Honestly, he just looked helpless. Anytime like Talis Ladies got him up against a cage, Camozzi was getting taken down and getting his back taken. I mean, it was just a rinse and repeat until Latiz was able to get that choke in the third. Um, and it just goes to show with Camozzi. It's like, man, he made some strides in his last fight against Vitor Miranda, but his striking looks better. But there's just a certain level of guy and a certain stylistic nightmare for Camozzi, and it's just these BJJ top control grapplers or just really strong BJJ guys. Um, Latiz did what he does against mid-level middleweights. He can outstrike him and knock him out, or he does this. Seriously, like just watch his fights. He gets a clinch against a cage, gets that takedown, takes it back. I mean, that's what he does against mid-level guys. Uh, or else he can outstrike some guys too. That's it. It's one or the other against mid-level guys. With that said, Latiz ranked, but he got pretty much smoked by Musasi just with a jab, more or less. With that said, though, Leite should just get more ranked opposition. Next closest guys, Tim, would be the winner of Brunson versus Uriah Hall. Um, or he could get Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker actually struggled a bit against Rafael Natal, so I think Leite should be a good test for Whitaker too. With Camozzi, he is just stuck in middleweight purgatory. He looks like a guy that's just never gonna get out of like below the top 15. There's just something about him. He'll beat a Vitor Miranda. He'll beat certain guys, and then he'll just lose to certain guys. And yeah, he can fight like a Brad Scott next, and maybe win, maybe lose. He can fight Kevin Casey even. And it's like, well, I'd pick Camozzi to beat Kevin Casey, but you know what I mean. That's Camozzi. Next, we have that Santiago Ponzinibbio defeated Zach Cummings by unanimous decision. Uh, these were some big improvements from Santiago. I really liked what I saw from him here. Cummings was game. Cummings did pretty much exactly how I thought he'd fight. He'd throw his right hand. He's southpaw. Cummings. To kind of learn to a straight left. He loves throwing that straight left. As a counter or just off of his right hand. It is like pretty much his bread and butter. But like, yeah, that's the thing with Cummings. He loves throwing his straight left, and it's a good weapon for him. It's actually pretty. He actually is pretty sneaky about it. However, the speed advantage went to Ponzinibbio here. I really like Ponzinibbio was able to hit that right hand at will. And then he was getting out too, so he'd go into a round, get out. Good stuff from Ponzinibbio though, and his takedown defense was just solid too. Um, there was a lot to like about Santiago Ponzinibbio here. I mean, just he made some big improvements where he looked like kind of like a threat to like top 15 guys now, and I think that's who he should be fighting. You know, both guys showed really good chins. Zach Cummings' chin is like something else. But that guy is huge for this division, just ginormous. I actually kind of wonder if Zach Cummings would could actually do pretty well at middleweight, and I wonder if that's something that he should actually consider. He's 6 foot, solid 6 foot. He's not short for the division, and he's pretty big, and he's fought at middleweight before too. So I kind of wonder if Cummings is going to stay at welterweight, or maybe he should think about moving up to middleweight. With Ponzinibbio, though, I think he's got Jake Ellenberger. He's coming off that big win over Matt Brown. Ellenberger's ranked at like number 15. Or we can get the winner of like Cerrone versus Story. But yeah, like I said, I just really liked what I saw from Santiago Ponzinibbio in this fight. Better defense, strong offense, good accuracy, good takedown defense. Just a lot to like there, and he fought a really game and super tough opponent. I had a hard time with this pick, and this is why, because Zach Cummings is stupid tough. I mean, just stupid tough, and really awkward guy to fight too. But yeah, Santiago managed to beat him, and in a very like technical, improved way. Despite right that, Trevor Smith defeated Joseph uh, Gelati by unanimous decision. 30-26 is all around. I was quite disappointed in Gelati, but I'll say this right now. And I said it in the predictions, and I said it here. He looks so undersized. I mean, these guys. Honestly, it looked like a welterweight fighting a light heavyweight because Trevor Smith is a 6'3" middleweight, and he was not undersized when he fought at light heavyweight. Trevor Smith's a big middleweight and very experienced now at this point of his career. And Gelati is still raw. He's small for the division. If he can cut to welterweight, he should cut to welterweight. Because guys the size of Trevor Smith are not uncommon at middleweight at this point. But utter domination from Smith. I was actually really surprised how easy Smith was able to take him down. Once he took him down, he just dominated. I mean, ground and pound, pass to dominant positions. Smith is actually a good hand for the division. He is pretty much Chris Camozzi in a sense of like he's stuck in like mid-tier middleweight purgatory, but now like Camozzi too actually, he's got veteran savvy. So it's just kind of like he can take fights to the ground, he can strike a bit, and he's just big and he's tough. And there's guys like Lateez or like Kyle Magalesh that are going to be able to knock him out. Um, but then Smith can also beat other mid-level guys and guys who are smaller than Trevor Smith, like significantly smaller than him, are going to get thrashed. Like that happened to Dan Miller, and it just happened to Joseph Gelati at this point too. I keep underestimating Trevor Smith badly, and like I said, he's a very typical middleweight, like mid-level middleweight, in that he loses to other mid-level middleweights. Can't seem to break into top 15, but he's big, he's tough, and he's just good enough everywhere that like you have to kind of respect him, you know. With that said, just more like lower to mid tier guys of the division for Trevor Smith and with Joseph Gelati. If he like I said, if he can get to welterweight, he really should. I mean, he looked undersized. He looked raw. Um, and he's going to face this problem at middleweight moving forward. Yeah. So, next fight after that, I don't really want to talk about this one too long. Marina Moroz defeated Daniel Taylor by split decision. Okay, so this is one of the most comical UFC records to set Marina Moreau set the UFC record for least accurate striking. This was an absolutely terrible fight. Bad stylistic matchup. I think Taylor actually got the better of Moreau's in the second. Took her down in the third. Judging was a bit off. Moreau's was hitting air a lot of this fight. There was a lot of dancing around. It was just a bad fight. Real bad fight. Real bad stylistic matchup. Um, it's a good argument for Taylor actually winning the fight. Taylor's going to be forever undersized in this division. She needs to move to atomweight if they ever have an atomweight division. She's just going to have this same problem. Marina Moreau's, I mean, what you saw against Joanne Caldwood doesn't look like it's going to be replicated. You know, she looked heavy-handed. I don't think she is. She's, but she's not a bad striker. And then, on the ground, she's good. Off her back, she has the armbar, but she's not great if you get a dominant position on her. From the top, she's not too bad. Like I said, Moreau's can do a little bit of everything. She's become a bit more solid, and just a bit more well-rounded. But still, she's like clearly still flawed, and this fight kind of shows it too. You know, she had the right game plan going in, but you know, not enough volume. Seemed a little too scared of Taylor's counters. Um, just a bad fight, you know. Taylor's just got my lower to mid tier of the division. Moreau's is ranked. Give her the winner of like Van Zant versus Rawlings, or the winner of like Watterson versus Azing Daly next. On the FS1 prelims, Court McGee defeated Dominic Steele by unanimous decision. Don't agree with the 30-27. I actually was a bit worried. You know, I actually said this in the predictions, and I'll say it here. Court McGee fighting in Salt Lake City is going to help him, and I felt that it did in the judging sense too. Um, I thought Court McGee totally got that first round and almost finished Steele. I thought Steele was getting the better damage slash impact, while Court McGee was getting a lot more control in the next two rounds. Uh, and in that sense, I kind of actually gave Steele rounds 2 and 3. But I totally see why they gave Court McGee the ultimately the decision here. Both guys should just get more lower to mid tier guys of the division. I think Steele actually has some potential. You know, he actually seems to hit pretty hard. Good athlete, can wrestle a bit too. He might actually turn out to be something more. Court McGee seems to be stuck here. You know, tough but not athletic, strong, but not a he's not much of a finisher, you know. Next about that, Marcin Tibera defeated Victor Pesta by knockout in the second round. Man, much improved striking from Marcin Tibera. Victor Pesta has no defense standing. He tried to take Tibera down, couldn't get him down. Problem with Victor Pesta too, when he goes for a lot of takedowns, I think he gets tired from attempting so many takedowns. Pesta just isn't much of a stand-up threat either. You know, he's a guy that can get hit. His defense kind of sucks. You know, I think Victor Pesta makes very small improvements, but guys are able to outstrike him a lot of time. There's a lot of guys that can just outstrike him. You know, and as good, you know, his strength is like wrestling and top control, but he's not great at it. So I don't know if he's gonna stay in the UFC or not. I think he only has like one win in the UFC, right, against like Konstantin Arokin. But he's like a young heavyweight, and you know he could actually get better. But you know he's gonna have to fight some pretty low level guys. Well, I think he can actually beat. Uh, Marcin Tibera, though, man, I liked what I saw from him here. I really did. His striking looked good. His fitness looked good too. He looked fit. His fitness looked good. His striking combinations. His find a home for that right hand, and then that head kick. I didn't expect him to throw it. Dude's 6'4". Victor Pesta's 6'3". You know, I mean, Victor Pesta's not a short guy. The fact that he's able to hit a clean head kick on Victor Pesta, and that was a knockout. That was a quite a knockout. Um, for a guy that's not really known for knocking guys out. So this was a great performance for Marcin Tibera. I actually have some faith that he can actually move up the ranks now. I figured he's gonna be better everywhere than Victor Pesta in this fight, and he most certainly was. Um, More like lower to major guys of the division for him, and with Victor Pesta, you know, it's more lower tier guy. If they decide to keep him, he's gonna have to get some like really low level guys at this point. So at that, David Timur defeated Jason Novelli by knockout in the second round. Um, I like David Timur. I picked Novelli thinking he'd be able to get some combinations going. Didn't happen. Couldn't wrestle him. I gotta say, David Timur is actually gonna be one of those guys. I've been underestimating. I picked against him in his last two fights. Moving forward, if he fights some lower level guys, I'm not gonna. More likely than not, I'm not gonna pick against David Timur anymore. His striking is. I don't. I still feel that he's not a good combination striker, but he's pretty accurate with his strikes. He hits hard, and his takedown defense is pretty good too. Has a good leg kick. Everything he throws is like with some level of power. I think he called out Sage Northcutt, right? I actually skipped through the post-fight interviews, DVR. I was watching everything on DVR. Um, but yeah, this is a guy. He's still in his 20s. He only has like 5 or 6 pro MMA bouts. A lot of like kickboxing bouts and whatnot though. Um, yeah, I gotta stop underestimating David Timur. He's a guy that is going to, in my opinion, I think he's going to continually improve moving forward. I mean, he's beating Martin Svensson and like Jason Novelli. Um, but he looks good beating these guys. That's what you want to see from a prospect. He's getting highlight reel knockouts against them too. With Novelli, a fight like this was not a good look for him. I thought he looked good in his fight in Titan against Yosteni Sedano, but yeah, it just did not look good here. Timur was just a much better striker, and Novelli couldn't take him down. So, uh, yeah, Novelli should fight just more lower tier guys in the division. He's a guy I kind of worry about as far as like being able to consistently get win. He might be a guy that might get bounced from the UFC at this point if he continues to look like he did it against Timur. But Timur's on the up and up. A lot to like with him. Just fight for more lower to mid tier guys in the division for him. Next I thought Teruto Ishihara defeated Horatio Gutierrez by TKO in the first round. Gutierrez was actually striking pretty well. Then he got sloppy, got a left hook, and that was the end. Ishihara has some real fight-ending power. Good athlete. Funny guy. Um, I don't know if he's gonna get that much better per se, but he'll definitely, at most, he'll top out as a fun action fighter. Um, yeah, last two guys, he knocked him out. Didn't he knock out Erosa in his last fight? Then he knocked out Gutierrez. So, still a young guy, good athlete, heavy hitter. It's more mid to lower tier guys in the division for him. Gutierrez is on thin ice, 2 losses in a row now. His record, I think he's on, 2 wins and, 3 losses now. He's a guy that can use some seasoning in the regional scene. It would not surprise me to UFC cut him at this point. Okay, on the UFC Fight Pass prelims, Kevin Swanson defeated Tetsuya Kawajiri by unanimous decision. Okay, I have some problems here. One, 30-27, Cub Swanson. I thought Kawajiri totally took the first round. Okay. Two, I'm surprised that Swanson didn't get a point deduction for that knee. So, if you give Sw- Kawajiri the first round, Swanson a point deduction, and then Swanson that round, and Swanson the third, that'd be a draw. Um, so I felt that the officiating wasn't very good because that was an illegal knee. That was a big, it was a really big one too. It kind of changed the course of the fight in the sense, potentially could. Um, and and I thought Kawajiri totally got that first round. So, um, nonetheless, was it first round? I thought it was first round. Yeah. Nonetheless, Cub Swanson got the win here. He was hitting Kawajiri with some pretty hard shots, but I was actually surprised that Kawajiri was able to hit Swanson with some hard shots. Kawajiri was able to take Swanson down a couple times. Swanson was able to defend a couple takedowns and got back to his feet when he was taken down at some other points of the fight. Um, Swanson looked good here. I think he's like number five, like the number five featherweight. And I gotta be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how long he's gonna be able to keep that up. Because when he fights like Kawajiri or even like Hakran Diaz, they're a lot closer than his ranking really shows in a sense. But Kawajiri is gonna be Kawajiri. If he can get on top of you, he's gonna stay on top. And with Cub Swanson, he has that in and out style, hits hard, got a good chin, and is a good enough grappler too. Um, so with that said, Kawajiri should get more like mid-level guys. Swanson should get like Bermudez or like a rematch with Lamas next. And finally, Justin Ledette defeated Chase Sherman by unanimous decision. Ledette showed some pretty good boxing here. I can't help but feel that while he's a 6'4" heavyweight, he seemed a bit undersized. Like, he looked like a guy that could possibly move down to light heavyweight. It's one of those weird things. He's weighing in at 235, and Sherman's got a chin on him. It's either Sherman that has a chin on him or Ledette doesn't hit very hard. Maybe because he's undersized. Sherman was taunting a lot, but man, was he just getting hit, especially with the jab. Sherman, he seems like a good athlete, but still working out his overall MMA game. Ledette, solid boxer. Kind of curious if he can defend takedowns. He took a lot of leg kicks too. Still seemed a bit flawed, but they actually had a pretty fun fight, all things considered. Um, yeah, just more lower to mid-tier guys of the division for both. If Ledette can cut to light heavyweight or like I don't know, he just didn't seem like a legit like heavyweight. Like he seemed tall enough for the division, but he didn't seem like particularly big. If you know what I mean, um, for the division. But yeah, just more lower tier guys of the division for both. So that's pretty much it for my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 92. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And please check out some of my works, such as The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom for $4.99 on my website at www.chrismaldon.com on PDF format, or if you have an e-reader, you can get it for $4.99 on Amazon.com. Also, you can check out some of my short stories for just $1.99, starting with The Land of the Wooden Statues, my horror collection, or my fantasy fable collection. So, yeah, that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.